Africa. Are some of our leaders cursed? Is Africa politics actually this dumb? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in and welcome back. And it's always a pleasure to stop by and then we exchange ideas and then we talk. If this is your first time coming through, they call me MisterJaay. And we are proudly marveling on MisterJaay's reactions. Yes, on this platform, we react to everything: music, entertainment, politics, social life. You name it, we talk about it. You ask, we talk about it. You feel me? And good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're watching MisterJaay from. It's always an honor. And on this vlog, ladies and gentlemen, I want us to talk about the situation that is unfolding in Kenya. The situation of the current sitting president of Kenya trying to bring in the Indian Adani guy to handle the airport. We are going to talk about it, but before we do get started, please do not forget to give us a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, smash the like, man. Hey, YouTube tells me that you watch and you don't subscribe. What's the problem? Is there something MisterJaay is not doing to get your subscription? Leave a comment, man, and I'm ready to do that, and I'm ready to have you as part of the family. So ladies and gentlemen, let's get right into it, man. So recently, man, there have been manifestations, there have been protests, there have been strikes by workers of this airport, the Jkia, man, one of an iconic asset to the Kenyan people. And the workers just came out and said that, you know what? No, we are not going to just go with the flow with what the government is trying to do. Now, if you've heard, if you know, remember me, hey, the Kenyan government under President Dr. Ruto, it goes by the name William Ruto. This guy came in with, during his campaign, man, everybody was looking at this guy like, hey, man, this man will come and he will change Kenya. This man will come and he will be a Pan-Africanist. This man will come and then things will move to a different direction. But it turns out, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what the situation is with most of these African leaders. During the campaign, they say one thing and then they come into power and then they start dancing to foreign tunes. Now we can talk about the various shortcomings of this leader, but I want us to focus on this whole Adani and Jkia situation. Now, before we get into all this Adani and Jkia situation, I just want to say this. Is it that some of our politicians or some of our political leaders, they do not learn from history? And what do I mean by that, man? Kenya is currently trying to bring in Adani to handle and take over the airport. Now, what you don't know is what happens in politics is sometimes people get money from different entities and then they mortgage something. Hey, we are going to give you, okay, this as collateral. We need this money to do certain projects, to carry out certain projects in our countries. It could be infrastructure, it could be manufacturing projects, it could be health, it could be education. But what has been happening over the past decades, like after independence in Africa, is this: some of these politicians, they come in and then they start doing this type of things. They mortgage the future generation of their various countries, and then they steal this money, they embezzle this money that they go and borrow, and they do not actually put up no infrastructures, and they don't even worry about paying, financing the loan. Normally, when you take a loan, man, you have to finance the loan. Every month you have to pay certain amount so that, you can stay in the good books. Now, if you falter, if you default from paying these loans, man, the person who gave you this loan can actually come for your collateral. And this government is trying to mortgage and use the airport Jkia as collateral. But I am happy that the Kenyans are not letting this go to bed. They are vehemently rejecting, they are vehemently showing that disdain, because if you ask me, this should definitely be the last straw that would take this man's government out. I'm talking about Ruto, President Ruto. He needs to be kicked out, because if you don't know, ladies and gentlemen, let me give you a little bit of backstory about this entity called Adani. Now, Adani is an Indian, a wealthy Indian, a billionaire, and this man has that money to throw around like that. And how do I know this? There is the situation in Sri Lanka, which occurred a couple of years ago. And this man went to Sri Lanka, and he met the then president who was in place, and then his brother was the prime minister, and then another brother was, the finance minister. Talk about nepotism. This man went to these guys, he had a conversation, and then he lent the money. He borrowed money to this guy. 1 billion for this, 2.5 billion for that, this for that. These people borrowed this money with the intention of, hey, you know what? We want to do some projects in the country. We want to infrastructure, schools. We want to do a whole lot of things. And we need to borrow this money to use. So you give us the money, and then we will give you this port, this airport, this collateral. Guess what happened? These folks could not. It was so bad in Sri Lanka that, doctors could not have, they didn't have medicines. Students could not take exams because there was no money to print. It was just chaos. So what happened? The people revolted, and then they overthrew this government. The same thing is about to happen to my Kenyan brothers and sisters if they do allow this Adani come in. Now, Adani is not the only situation, man. African leaders over the years, they have defaulted on their loans several times, not because they could not finance the loan, but because of embezzlement and corruption. Now, seeing what the Adani system did in Sri Lanka, imagine that they actually came to Kenya, and then the collateral was the airport, and then they changed it from Jkia to Adani Airport, Kenya. This is going to be a huge problem. Now, I don't know where you stand on this. I don't know what some of these leaders are thinking. Africans, we are tired. We need to be standing up to some of these leaders. I don't get the point how somebody comes in with a good vision, promises all of these things, but then when they come into power, we see something different. I will end this vlog by saying this. My Kenyan people, man, look, do not let this go down, because if you guys do, unfortunately for you, that money will not be used properly. Whatever investment Adani is bringing to Kenya, it will be embezzled, because we all know that all across Africa, the number one issue that is really disturbing and preventing Africans from getting to its potential is this sad thing, this sad phenomena of embezzlement and corruption. You go out, you borrow money to carry out an infrastructure, you get the money, but you don't use the money because this person keeps stealing, that person keeps stealing, and so on and so forth. And this is the sad reality in Africa. So to all my Kenyans, man, big up and shout out to the brother who came out to me and asked me to talk about this. But bro, you guys are not supposed to let this go down. And if it goes down, man, it seems as if the current president hasn't learned the lesson from the recent situation where the youth came over and protested. This is going to be that protest 2.5. You feel me? Leave your comment what you think. Should African leaders and political elites continue with this sad and bad habit of borrowing money when they know that they are not going to carry out these projects? Leave a comment, and that is my time. I hope you did join the family. Stay blessed, and hey, have a great week coming up. Peace.